Call Imli Halbashim Shaiba Shimracha Korash. That is all praises to the Most High in the name of the Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit, in the ancient Hebrew. Double honors unto the apostles and elders, accurate most of them that wrote well, and shalom unto the hopeful elect. You have the Nato approval rate of U.S. leadership and a steep decline, okay? Which we're going to expound upon that whole concept of the beast hating the whore. In the scriptures, you read about the power structure that would be in place during the end times. You read that in Revelation, the 17th chapter. It's known as the Beast Empire. And the Beast Empire consists of NATO and the EU, spearheaded by the whore that rides on the beast, which is America. That's the spearhead of that alliance. But you have these quick article titles that I'll bring out that validates that prophecy that the beast shall hate the whore, meaning NATO and the EU will hate America. We already explored the fact that the hatred is increasing because of America's pride, right? And pride being hateful among men, among before the Mosai and man, right? And how America's look was more stout than its fellows when you go into that prophecy in Daniel 7:8 and Daniel 7:20. But we're going to go into, of course, we know not only because of the pride, but because of America's overreach, right? They're trying to push up into Greenland, which is supported by these other nations, i.e. Germany, Sweden, all right, and some other NATO countries. This is from CBS Austin. Should U.S. stick with NATO as approval of American leadership falls? It has fallen to 21% from, it dropped 14 percentage points from 35 to 21. Okay, and then this other one sticks out. It says, NATO is currently trying to protect NATO against its biggest enemy right now, the U.S. Okay? Let's grab this. U.S. leadership approval drops among NATO allies. This is from Gallup.com. And it's heavy because Beijing put this fucking article together. So everybody's showcasing and they're monitoring what potentially will lead to the disbanding of this alliance. Okay? And then what else? Let's just go into this real quick. Tariffs. That was one of the latest things that came out. Tariffs on NATO. All right. Trump announces tariffs on NATO allies for opposing U.S. control of Greenland. Okay. So this is fucking even further increasing the hatred of the beast. The hatred by the beast of America. Okay. Of the whore. All right. Let's go into the scripture. Let's see. Habakkuk. In Habakkuk, right? Because this is in reference to Esau, Edom. But who is the fucking the top component? What is the main component of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man's power structure right now is America. All right, let's actually go into this real quick. The Wolfowitz Doctrine. Wolfowitz doctrine. It says the Wolfowitz doctrine, named after Paul Wolfowitz, was a controversial 1992 U.S. defense strategy draft that argued America as the sole superpower post Cold War, right, must prevent any rival from emerging by maintaining military supremacy, acting unilaterally if needed, and shaping the world order to promote democracy and open markets. Ideas that later influenced the George W. Bush's administration's preemptive policies, right? Of them running up into, as it says right here, U.S. global dominance, advocating for preemption and global engagement to secure vital interests like oil access and prevent WMD proliferation, even if it meant acting alone. All right? When you go into this doctrine, this motherfucking, as it said, a strategy, one of the things that's outlined within it is that it would essentially police the entire fucking planet. Okay? But they're like a corrupt cop who plants evidence upon to what they deem a suspect, but upon an innocent motherfucker, plant evidence on them, like Chappelle said in that stand up, sprinkle some crack on them, right, so that they can have justification for to pursue them as a suspect or a perpetrator. Okay, which we know about fucking 9/11, as well as the so-called weapons of mass destruction that were supposedly, allegedly in the possession of these different Middle Eastern countries. Okay, and then look, oil access, he'll come in and run up in your shit for oil, as he's done throughout the planet, and most recently in Venezuela. Okay. So this is the shit. Now they're going into the territories and the fucking front yard of even their allied nations. Okay, nations within their alliance. Right, and we were bringing it out yesterday at camp that America did this as well. They've been doing this in different forms, but fucking with the economy of these NATO nations, right? They have been pretty much compromising these other nations, NATO nations' interests. For example, the Nord Stream 2 pipeline that fucking it. Trying to think of how the gas, it was pretty much a gas pipeline that I'm trying to think of how another word for delivery, because that was it's like a delivery system. Let's see, let's just look it up. Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Let's see. Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Gas to European. Sea to Europe. Built to transport natural gas directly to Germany under the Baltic Sea. Okay. Fuck, I can't think of the motherfucking word. but there's another word that goes into it. Pretty much, like it says, you could say transport. Um, and not to get too caught up on verbiage, but it basically compromised the interest of NATO nations because they were getting a more cost efficient gas through this Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia, buying it off of them instead of getting it from America that not only took longer to get it, right, which the time is fucking money. So the longer it takes for you to get your fucking energy, that natural gas, then the more money you fucking lose. And then not only that, but it was more expensive, right? From transport costs, you know, to even just the overall price. All right. So America has been fucking with NATO interests. Okay. And that's why we read it here. We didn't go into it, but we will now in Obadiah. It's actually just read Habakkuk and then we'll close out with Obadiah. Habakkuk 2 and 5, right? As we just mentioned, this is in reference to Esau, Edom as a whole, but who is um, who is pretty much the fucking head of Esau, Edom? Who is if you had to look at all these different factions, if you will, or groups or nations of Edom, Esau, Edom, who is the primary? Who's the chief? Is America, of course. Okay, so this applies to him. It says, this applies to America, yea, also because, verse 5, he transgresseth by wine, and he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Okay, so he enlarges his desire as hell. Okay, let's go into that in the blue letter. Let's get we'll go ahead and grab the Bible comparison, the other translations. Let's see. And we'll grab this first, hell. Sheol, right? Which in the Paleo is Sha'awal. Okay? And we just know it to be, right, a place of no return. Is pretty much like death. Okay? It signifies death. Extreme degradation is in sin. So his desire that he enlargeth, it's like extreme sin and fucking death, man. Okay? The grave or the pit. Let's see. The Bible comparison. Yep. They open their mouths as wide as the grave, and like death, they are never satisfied. Okay? So he'll straight up fucking put you to death. Alright? That's what he does when he goes to these different regions. He declares war. Alright? That's what he's doing in fucking Palestine right now. That's what he did for those this fucking so-called war on Iraq. Okay, he put motherfuckers to death just now in Venezuela. And what do you think he's going to potentially do? Why these NATO nations are sending troops to Greenland because he'll take it over with force if he has to. If they move forward with it, but it's not the first time he's done this. If this goes through, okay. If they proceed on it, it says, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And that's what the fuck America's trying to do. And it's pretty much in alignment with that Wolfowitz doctrine. And there's other things that it's called. It's been deemed other things, but it's the same type of agenda that he has to say, was that America first and all this shit. It has different names, but it's the same fucking strategy. That fuck your interests. It's about our interests. It's about our success as a nation. To bolster America. Okay? Let's see. Let's go into that Malachi. Let's go into that Malachi 2. Let's see. Let's see. Slovakia. Fucking tripping, huh? It was Micah. Micah, the second chapter. Micah 2 and 2. And they covet fields. They're coveting Greenland. And take them by violence in houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. All right? And let's close out with Obadiah. Straight to the point. Verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. And a confederacy is synonymous with an alliance. It says it's also likened into like a conglomerate. It says, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. And only Yahweh Bashim Yahushai knows, because he's putting it in the hearts, meaning in the minds of these different NATO and EU countries to have even secret agendas that are against America. Only the Lord knows, and of course, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai has put these thoughts into their minds to devise a plan against America, to destroy America. We know that it's going to culminate, meaning it's going to peak out in the form of them annihilating this fucking place, okay? And them sending the nuclear missiles over here. But from now to that point, Yahweh has, only Yahweh knows what type of agendas that they have to undermine so-called U.S. leadership in that alliance that they're in. Okay? And they're going to play these things out. It says, and prevailed against thee. They've deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. And eating their bread is like receiving benefits from that alliance that they're in, because that alliance has dues, pretty much money that they have to fucking pay. Another thing is they have a fucking NATO army, right? Where, the U.S. is making major contributions to that. Not only the NATO monetary dues, but also military dues. You need to think from equipment and troops. Okay, that's why NATO as a whole, America and all these individual NATO nations, but them together as a whole, were providing Ukraine with munitions, with military equipment. Okay? Because of this alliance. But they're eating the bread because these other NATO nations are benefiting off of U.S. contributions to that alliance. Okay, it says, "They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him." Okay, so these other nations, they're fucking the wound that they're laying under America is they're plotting and scheming behind their fucking backs. That's what it means, under thee. It means be pretty much under their fucking nose, unbeknownst to them. Okay? And they indeed will blaze this place the fuck up with thermonuclear missiles. And this is the pretty much, these are developments in this prophecy that are going on right now that we see. The U.S. Leadership approval by NATO fucking plummeting, right? They were doing fucking protests all day yesterday, right? And shit probably today, and will continue protesting America coming with this rhetoric that they're gonna, and threats, protesting against those fucking threats that they're gonna take Greenland, all right? And all this different forms of overreach that they're coming with, that America is coming with, okay? These things are going to, are causing that hatred to get fucking stirred up. They're pretty much, these current events are developments in this prophecy to show you that we are very quickly headed toward that end. Okay? So with that, all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba Shem Racha Kodash. Shalom.